Kate's first international trip since her cancer recovery, stepping out on her own, a research trip of sorts, learning about a cause she cares deeply about.
Thousands of people have packed a square. People are hanging out the windows, and you can see her right here meeting some of her littlest fans.
In a shocking turn of events, King Charles has signed an emergency order that has sent shockwaves through the royal household, naming Catherine as the sole guardian of the crown jewels, a role typically reserved for the most trusted members of the monarchy. As palace insiders scramble to understand the sudden decision, speculation is mounting about what prompted such a drastic shift in royal authority. With tension building behind palace doors, is this a strategic move to protect the crown, or could it signal the beginning of a deeper power struggle within the royal family? But what do you think? Was this a smart royal decision, or something that could cause more problems inside the palace? Let us know your thoughts in the comments. To help us bring you more royal updates and breaking stories, please subscribe. The King's Health and the Weight of Reality. The situation inside the palace begins with a difficult and very real truth. King Charles III is facing cancer. It was first discovered in early 2024 during what was expected to be a routine medical procedure connected to an enlarged prostate. Nothing unusual was anticipated, and it was meant to be a standard check and treatment. But during the process, doctors found something unexpected, signs of cancer that were not part of the original condition being treated. Buckingham Palace later revealed one crucial detail: the king did not have prostate cancer. That unexpected clarification suggested something entirely different had been discovered during the procedure, something more serious than anyone had anticipated. Yet staying true to long-standing royal tradition, the palace chose not to disclose the exact type of cancer, leaving many questions unanswered while keeping the king's medical battle deeply private. From that moment, everything changed quietly but noticeably. The king began to step back from many of his public duties. Over time, his appearances became fewer, and his schedule was carefully adjusted. For months, there was silence from the palace on the finer details, and that silence led to growing speculation and concern about what this meant not only for the king, but for the stability of the monarchy itself. Then, in December 2025, King Charles spoke publicly again in a video message during the Stand Up to Cancer broadcast. In a calm and steady voice, he shared that his treatment schedule had been reduced due to early diagnosis and effective care. It was a rare moment of openness, and many paid close attention to his words. But one word stood out more than the rest: reduced. Not ended, not stopped, not completed, just reduced. That single word made it clear that treatment was still ongoing, even if things had improved in some way. There was no statement of full recovery, and no suggestion that the illness was over. Palace insiders later described his condition as precarious, a word that quietly added weight to the situation. It did not signal immediate danger, but it did suggest a delicate balance. And in that balance, people began to see a new reality forming around the future of the monarchy, one that felt less certain and more carefully watched than before. King Charles has been struggling with cancer since 2024, and his admission that his treatment has been reduced rather than stopped has raised concern across the nation. But how will he manage his health without neglecting his royal duties? What measures will he put in place to ensure continuity within the monarchy? Let's uncover the shocking details. A quiet transfer of royal power. As concern about King Charles III's health continued to grow, something important began to shift inside the royal family, even though it was not loudly announced or publicly explained. There were no dramatic headlines from the palace, no formal speeches, and no sudden changes in structure. Instead, the changes happened quietly and carefully, so that only those paying close attention could notice. Behind the scenes, responsibility within the monarchy started to move gradually toward the next generation, especially Prince William and Catherine, Princess of Wales. It was not presented as a transfer of power, but more like a slow sharing of duties that suggested preparation for the future. The tone was calm, but the direction was clear. In mid-2025, reports suggested that King Charles made an important constitutional decision by inviting both William and Catherine to take on the role of grantors of royal warrants beginning in 2026. This may sound like a formal title change, but in reality, it carries real weight within the royal system. Royal warrants are far more than ceremonial honors. They are prestigious endorsements granted by the monarchy to businesses and individuals trusted to provide goods and services to the royal household. For generations, this privilege has been reserved exclusively for the reigning king and queen, making it a powerful symbol of royal confidence, authority, and the highest level of trust within the institution. By bringing William and Catherine into this role earlier than expected, King Charles effectively allowed them to operate in a space that sits very close to the core functions of the monarchy itself. It was not a loud announcement of change, but it quietly showed that responsibility was already being shared in practice, even if the formal structure had not yet fully changed. What made this development even more striking was Catherine's position in it. She became the first Princess of Wales in more than 100 years to be given this responsibility. Even Princess Diana, who remains one of the most iconic figures in modern royal history, never held this role. That detail alone added weight to the moment. It suggested not only trust, but also a growing role for Catherine within the future direction of the monarchy, one that places her closer to the center of royal authority than any Princess of Wales in generations. To ensure continuity of royal affairs amid the health challenges of King Charles, Princess Catherine and her husband were entrusted with some delicate responsibilities within the royal family. But what defining role was assigned to Catherine? And how significant is it for the monarchy and its future? Let's find out. Guardianship of the Crown Jewels. One of the most remarkable developments within the monarchy is King Charles's decision to name Princess Catherine as the sole guardian of the crown jewels. This is far more than a ceremonial honor or symbolic gesture. It is an extraordinary responsibility tied to the very soul of Britain's royal identity, placing Catherine at the center of a centuries-old tradition that represents the crown's authority, continuity, and enduring legacy. The crown jewels are much more than dazzling treasures made of gold, diamonds, and precious gemstones. They are living symbols of the British monarchy, carrying centuries of history, tradition, and royal authority. Carefully protected within the Tower of London, these priceless regalia appear only during the nation's most significant occasions, including coronations and major state ceremonies. Each crown, scepter, and orb tells a story of power, duty, and continuity. For generations, they have represented the legitimacy of the crown and the unbroken link between past and future monarchs. Their true value cannot be measured in money alone, because they embody the identity of the monarchy itself and the enduring institution that has shaped British history for centuries. Because of this, entrusting Catherine with the guardianship of the crown jewels carries enormous symbolic meaning. It points to King Charles III's deep confidence not only in her character, judgment, and dedication, but also in the vital role he believes she will play in the monarchy's future. More than a ceremonial gesture, it appears to be a carefully considered decision, one shaped not just by the needs of today, but by a vision for what lies ahead. Legally, King Charles has the power to make decisions like this through royal prerogative without seeking approval from Parliament or outside authorities. Yet what truly makes this move remarkable isn't simply that he can do it. It's how deliberately and openly he has done so. The timing feels purposeful, the planning unusually clear, suggesting this is less about routine protocol and more about preparing for what lies ahead. When this development is viewed alongside Prince William's steadily growing list of public duties, along with the noticeable lack of detailed long-term communication from Buckingham Palace, a clearer picture slowly begins to form in the background. Beyond Catherine being named the sole guardian of the crown jewels, which represent the authority, legitimacy, and continuity of the monarchy, how does she present herself in public after such a historic honor? Was her appearance intentionally linked to her new role, Or was she simply being herself? Let's delve into the astonishing details. The power of the crown jewels. As quiet changes unfolded within the royal family, another powerful message began to emerge through Princess Catherine herself. The way she appeared at major royal events, from her presence to the symbols surrounding her, seemed to reveal a deeper story about her growing importance within the monarchy. At a prestigious state banquet in late 2025, Catherine captured everyone's attention wearing the historic Indian circlet. This was far more than a beautiful tiara. The remarkable piece had remained hidden from public view for nearly 2 decades and had traditionally been reserved for queens and the monarchy's most senior women. Its reappearance on Catherine's head was impossible to ignore, sending a powerful message about trust, continuity, and her increasingly significant place within the future of the royal family. In royal life, nothing is ever truly just decoration. Every crown, tiara, brooch, or necklace carries meaning. Each choice sends a message, whether subtle or direct, about status, role, and position within the monarchy. That is why Catherine's appearance in such a historic piece drew attention far beyond fashion or style. Royal watchers quickly noticed a pattern forming. Over time, Catherine has been seen wearing more of the royal collection's most important and historic pieces. These are not ordinary items. Many of them were once closely associated only with queens or senior monarchs, and they are rarely brought out for public display. Experts who study royal traditions suggest that this is not random. Instead, they believe it reflects something more intentional. It may point to preparation, continuity, and a growing sense of trust in Catherine's future role within the monarchy. In other words, the message being sent is not only about the present moment, but also about what is likely ahead. Behind all of this symbolism is the crown jewels collection itself. Kept securely at the Tower of London, this collection includes crowns, scepters, orbs, and some of the most famous diamonds in the world. These items are not simply valuable because of their materials. Their real importance lies in what they represent: the authority, tradition, and continuity of the British monarchy across centuries. And as these symbols continue to appear in public life, one thing has become increasingly clear. Catherine is becoming one of the most visible royal figures connected to that legacy, standing at the center of its tradition, symbolism, and future direction. After being named the guardian of the royal crown, Catherine has increasingly worn some of the most historically important pieces in the royal collection, reserved strictly for queens and senior monarchs. But what could have earned Catherine this honor? Could she have made a sacrifice that distinguishes her from other royal women? Let's find out. Catherine's quiet adaptation stands apart. Over the years, royal women in the British monarchy have walked very different paths, each shaped by personal decisions, intense public scrutiny, and the enormous weight of royal expectations. Their journeys reveal the sacrifices, struggles, and choices required to survive life inside one of the world's most demanding institutions. One path has been open resistance and emotional expression. This approach brought strong public attention and honesty, as feelings and struggles were shared more openly with the world. It made these figures very visible and relatable to many people. But at the same time, it often created tension within the institution itself, as openness and tradition did not always move at the same pace. Another path has been quiet endurance. This is the root of patience, discipline, and emotional strength under constant public pressure. It requires holding firm even when criticism is loud and personal challenges are heavy. It is not dramatic on the surface, but it demands deep resilience behind closed doors. This path is often marked by staying the course, even when it is not easy or comfortable. Then there is a third path, where some choose to step away completely from royal duties. In this case, the focus shifts toward personal freedom, independence, and building a life outside the strict structure of royal expectations. It is a break from tradition, chosen in search of identity and control over one's own direction. In contrast to all of these, Princess Catherine has followed a different and more subtle approach. Rather than openly resisting the institution or choosing to leave it behind, Catherine took a different path. She remained, observed, and quietly learned its unwritten rules. With patience and consistency, she adapted to its demands and expectations. Instead of working against the monarchy, she found a way to strengthen it from within, gradually becoming one of its most dependable and indispensable figures. Her strength is not shown through confrontation or separation. It is shown through patience, consistency, and quiet adjustment. She builds her role step by step, becoming more stable and more central within the institution without needing to break from it or fight it directly. In this way, her presence reflects a different kind of royal strength, one that is steady, quiet, and deeply rooted in adaptation rather than conflict or escape. Catherine had shown resilient and loyal commitment to the monarchy even during times of challenge, thereby earning recognition and trust from the king. But does this signal that the future of the monarchy is already being shaped through a gradual transfer of responsibility to her family? Now let's dive into Prince William's rising role and King Charles's future on the throne. Whispers of succession. With all the quiet changes taking place within the royal family, more attention has naturally shifted to what the future may hold for King Charles III. While there has been no official announcement or confirmed decision, public curiosity continues to grow. Inside and outside royal circles, people are closely watching every development, trying to understand what might come next. Some people close to the royal family suggest that private talks about the future of the crown and possible timing of succession are becoming more serious behind closed doors. These conversations do not mean any final decision has been made, but they show that the subject is no longer seen as far away or purely theoretical. At the same time, other royal commentators stress that nothing official has been announced. According to them, King Charles is still carrying out his duties as king as best as he can, continuing his role normally within the limits of his health and responsibilities. What is clearly confirmed is the steadily expanding role of Prince William. Over recent months, he has taken on more public duties than before, stepping forward in ways usually reserved for the reigning monarch. He has hosted important royal events, taken part in official meetings with national and international figures, and carried out investiture ceremonies, formal royal occasions that traditionally belong only to the king. This growing responsibility highlights his increasingly central position within the modern monarchy and signals a gradual shift in day-to-day royal authority over time, unfolding quietly. These are not small or symbolic actions. They are key duties that sit at the very heart of the monarchy. So when people see them slowly being shared or passed on to others, it has naturally drawn attention and raised important questions. Even so, one thing is becoming harder to ignore. A clear pattern is emerging within the royal family, where responsibility is gradually moving upward to the next generation. Tasks and duties that were once reserved only for the very highest level of the monarchy are now being shared more often with younger royals, showing a quiet but steady shift in roles. And so, without any formal declaration or dramatic moment, a quiet but important question continues to grow in the background. Is the monarchy gradually preparing itself for a transition of power sooner than many people expected? Beyond speculation that the future of the crown is leaning toward Catherine and her family, what kind of person was Catherine before joining the royal family? Did her background prepare her for the role ahead, or might she struggle to cope due to a lack of experience in taking responsibility when needed? Let's find out. From ordinary roots to royal grace. Princess Catherine was born on January 9, 1982 in Reading, Berkshire, long before she became part of the British royal family. At that time, she was simply Catherine Middleton, growing up in a normal household, far from the attention, pressure, and expectations that would later define her life. Her early years were ordinary, shaped by family life, school, and a quiet environment that gave no hint of the royal future ahead. Even from a young age, she stood out in a quiet but powerful way because of her discipline and sense of responsibility. She was never the type to chase attention or rush into the spotlight. Instead, she preferred a calm, steady approach to life, focusing on learning, hard work, and building a strong, balanced foundation for her future. Before marrying Prince William in 2011, Catherine was already deeply involved in her family's business, Party Pieces. Her role went far beyond having a title or being a figurehead. She was actively engaged in the daily running of the company, handling real tasks that mattered to its growth and success. From planning products to helping with operations, she contributed in a hands-on way that showed discipline, responsibility, and a strong work ethic early in life. Her responsibilities included areas like product development and catalog planning. These were not simple or surface-level duties. They required creativity, attention to detail, and consistent effort. She helped shape ideas, organize products, and contribute to decisions that influenced how the business presented itself. According to her mother, Catherine did much more than observe. She was directly involved in building product ideas and helping to develop parts of the business from the ground up. This gave her early experience in responsibility, teamwork, and structured work, long before she ever entered royal life. This background played a quiet but powerful role in shaping the person she would become. It helped build her reputation as someone calm under pressure, focused in her approach, and dependable in her actions. These qualities did not appear suddenly when she joined the royal family. They were already part of who she was, formed over years of steady work and real responsibility. Later, as she stepped into royal life, these same traits became even more important. They helped define how she is seen today: composed, reliable, and able to handle pressure with quiet strength, even in the most public and demanding moments of her life. Catherine had a background that prepared her for responsibility, discipline, and focus even during challenging periods of life. But was there a time in her life that truly tested her strength? How difficult was that period, and how did she get through it? Let's uncover the emotional details. From silence to strength. In January 2024, Princess Catherine underwent abdominal surgery, a moment that immediately drew considerable attention from the public and media. At first, the palace released only limited information, describing it as a planned medical procedure and offering no further details. This silence left many people unsure and concerned, as questions grew about her condition and recovery during a period when clarity was still being carefully withheld. Later, in a deeply personal and emotional video message, Catherine revealed the real reason behind her absence from public life. She shared that she had been diagnosed with cancer and was undergoing preventative chemotherapy as part of her treatment. The news shocked many people around the world, as few expected such a private health battle from someone so active and visible in public duties. It also brought a strong wave of sympathy, concern, and support from the public everywhere. After that announcement, she stepped away from public duties completely. For months, she remained out of sight as she focused on her health and recovery. During this period, there was growing concern, but also patience and support, as people waited for any sign of her return. Then, slowly and carefully, she began to reappear later in 2024. Her return was not sudden. It was gradual, measured, and clearly planned with care for her well-being. By the end of that year, she was seen again at selected royal engagements. She appeared composed and steady, although noticeably more reserved than before. In 2025, a hopeful update arrived when she was officially declared to be in remission. This moment marked a major turning point in her journey, bringing relief and renewed strength. Instead of stepping away from public life, she gradually returned to her duties and began taking on more responsibilities once again. She returned to full royal duties, attending major ceremonies and participating in important national events. One of the most significant moments of her return was when she delivered her first major speech in over 2 years at a London summit, marking a clear step back into her public role. Her comeback was not loud or dramatic. It did not rely on spectacle or attention. Instead, it was quiet, steady, and deeply meaningful. For many, it became a powerful symbol of strength, resilience, and continuity within the royal family during a time of uncertainty. Beyond Catherine resuming duty shortly after an illness that tested both her strength and resilience, could this be an indicator of how ready she is for future roles within the monarchy? And how has she risen within the royal family over time to become a formidable force within the institution? Let's dive into the details. From supporting role to future pillar. By 2025 and into early 2026, Princess Catherine was viewed very differently within the royal family. She was no longer seen as just a supporting or secondary figure. Instead, her role began to feel more central and important. During key royal events, especially sensitive public moments, her calm presence helped shape how the monarchy appeared, giving people a stronger sense of stability, trust, and quiet reassurance. Over time, Catherine became closely associated with stability within the royal family. During moments when the monarchy faced public concern, uncertainty, or health issues involving senior members, her calm presence stood out even more. At major state events, national ceremonies, and official appearances, she consistently appeared composed and steady. Rather than drawing attention to herself, she seemed to provide balance and reassurance simply by being present. Her quiet confidence, controlled demeanor, and steady public image helped strengthen the feeling that the monarchy was still stable, even when the atmosphere around it felt uncertain and unsettled. What made this change even more noticeable was how it showed in the symbols of royal tradition. Catherine's outfits, especially her royal tiaras and historic jewelry, began to attract more attention from the public and royal watchers. In the royal family, these items are never just about style or beauty. They carry deep meaning linked to history, power, and identity. Many of them have been worn by queens and senior royal women for generations. Each piece tells a story of the past and reflects a person's place within the monarchy, so every appearance speaks quietly but very clearly. As Catherine continued to appear at important royal events wearing these historic pieces, observers began to notice a clear pattern. These were not random or casual choices made for fashion. Instead, each item seemed carefully selected to match the meaning and importance of the occasion. Over time, her appearances began to feel more intentional, quietly reflecting ideas of tradition, stability, trust, and the ongoing continuity of the royal family and its long-standing history. Over time, a quiet but growing impression began to form. Catherine was no longer seen as just a participant in royal life, but as someone increasingly tied to its core identity. Her public role began to align more clearly with the monarchy's future direction, suggesting a deeper and more central place within its evolving structure. Without any official announcement or sudden shift, her role seemed to change slowly over time. With every public appearance, every royal event, and every carefully chosen symbol she wore or displayed, a clearer picture began to form. It quietly suggested that she was being guided closer to the future heart of the royal family, where tradition, duty, and continuity come together. So what do you think about King Charles's action? Was it a wise decision, or one that may create more palace tension? We would love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. Don't forget to like and subscribe.